Charlotte's shoe is still on the marble floor, not fallen placed. The guard notices it because children are not supposed to stop mid-corridor. She is bent forward, hands locked at her chest, breath breaking in short, soundless pulls. No aides move, no call is made. Behind her, an adult voice says nothing. The guard pauses. Protocol does not account for silence like this. Charlotte's shoe is still on the floor when the guard reaches her. Not tipped over, not kicked aside, standing upright as if someone set it down carefully and then forgot the child attached to it. She is folded forward at the waist, small hands clenched into the front of her dress. Her breathing comes in short, uneven pulls that make no sound at first. The guard notices that detail immediately. Children cry loudly when they fall. They do not go quiet unless something is wrong. The corridor is wrong too still, too clean. The echo of the palace clocks reaches them unbroken, no rush of footsteps, no raised voices. Two aides stand several meters away, hands already folded, eyes deliberately unfocused. No one calls for medical staff. The guard steps in without announcing himself. He lowers his body just enough to come into her line of sight without touching her. "Stay where you are," he says quietly, not to her, into the space, a procedural phrase meant for anyone listening. Charlotte's head lifts a fraction. Her eyes are wet but sharp with panic, fixed on something behind him. She tries to speak and fails, her shoulders tense as if bracing. Behind him, a senior figure moves. The guard hears the shift of fabric before he hears the voice. Controlled, even, annoyed more than alarmed. "She's fine," the voice says. "Take her inside now." There is no medical code attached to the instruction, no request, no verification. The guard does not move. Protocol gives him exactly 3 seconds to assess a collapse in a secure area. He uses all 3. No visible injury, no blood, no environmental hazard. But the child's hands are shaking, not from pain, not from exertion, from restraint, from holding something in. Charlotte's breath breaks into sound. A thin, fractured cry slips out before she clamps her mouth shut again. The effort to stop it bends her further forward. The guard shifts one foot, placing his body fully between her and the approaching adult. It is a subtle movement. It will be noticed. "Medical response has not been called," he says, voice level. She remains stationary. Silence follows, heavy, intentional. The senior figure stops an arm's length away. The guard can feel the heat of their presence, the expectation that this will resolve itself through compliance. "Step aside," the voice says, still calm. "You're escalating." The word is chosen carefully, not accuse, not threat, frame. The guard does not look back. His focus stays on the child, on the way her fingers dig into the fabric at her chest as if anchoring herself. "She said she was hurt," he replies. "That requires assessment." Charlotte's head turns slightly, her lips move. This time sound comes out. Her voice fractures completely. She swallows hard. "She hurt me." The corridor changes instantly. Not visibly, not officially, but something tightens in the air, like a door closing somewhere far away. One aide turns her head just enough to hear better. Another looks down at the floor. The senior figure's tone hardens by a single degree. That is not an appropriate statement. The guard feels the pressure now, clear and direct. This is the line, the one that exists but is never written down. He straightens to full height. "Medical protocol is required," he says, louder, "for witnesses, for records that may never exist. No movement until cleared." A pause, long enough to calculate. A hand reaches forward, not aggressively but decisively, toward the child's arm. The guard moves before thought catches up. One gloved hand lifts, palm open, stopping the motion inches from Charlotte. It is the first physical refusal. The clocks keep ticking. No one speaks. The open palm remains suspended between authority and child. For half a second, no one challenges it. That pause is enough. It tells the guard everything he needs to know. This is no longer about procedure. It is about control. The senior figure withdraws the hand slowly as if the motion were their choice. "You're out of position," they say, not loudly. Loudness would draw attention. "Step back." The guard does not. He shifts his stance instead, widening it just enough to anchor himself. He feels Charlotte lean a fraction closer, not touching him, but aligning, like something small finding shelter behind a wall. "Medical," he repeats, short, neutral. An aide finally breaks formation. "I'll call," she says quickly, already pulling a device from her pocket. Her eyes flick between the guard and the senior figure, searching for permission retroactively. "Don't," the senior figure snaps, then catches the edge in their voice. "There. No need to alarm anyone." Alarm, the word lands wrong. The guard notes it and files it away. Charlotte makes a small sound again, not a cry this time, a breath that fails halfway through. Her knees dip. The guard lowers himself instantly, one knee touching the marble, bringing his height back down. He does not touch her. He does not need to. His presence is enough to steady the space. "Look at me," he says quietly. She does. Her face is flushed now, tears clinging to her lashes without falling. Her eyes search his, as if checking whether he will disappear too. "You're staying here," he tells her. "You're not moving." She nods once hard. Behind him, the senior figure exhales through their nose. "This is unnecessary," they say. "You're making it worse." The guard hears movement farther down the corridor, security adjusting positions, not approaching, just enough to show readiness. Power rearranging itself. "Sir," he says, keeping the honorific intact, "the child has made an allegation." The word is heavy, legal. It changes how everything will be recorded if it is recorded at all. "That is not your determination to make." "No," the guard agrees, "it's not." Another pause, longer now. The aide with the device hesitates, thumb hovering. The senior figure's gaze locks on the guard, sharp and appraising, measuring consequences. "Who else heard that?" they ask. The guard does not answer. He doesn't need to. The corridor itself is the answer. Too many people, too much marble, too much echo. Charlotte shifts again, her balance faltering. This time the guard reaches out, steadying her elbow with the lightest pressure. Her skin is cold through the fabric. "She needs to sit," he says. "There's a private room." "No," he cuts in, not raising his voice. "Here." The refusal lands, clean, public. The senior figure's jaw tightens. "You're exceeding your authority." "Yes," the guard says, "it is not defiance, it is acknowledgement." A distant set of doors opens. Footsteps approach, measured, professional. Medical staff, finally, responding to something that was never officially called in. The guard feels the shift again, the balance tipping just slightly away from containment. Charlotte's fingers curl into his sleeve now, not clutching, holding. Her voice is barely audible when she speaks again. "She said not to tell," she whispers. The guard stills completely. Behind him, the senior figure hears the words too. He can feel their reaction without looking, an intake of breath, a recalculation. The footsteps draw closer. The guard keeps his body where it is, between. The moment cannot be undone now, only managed. And management has limits. The medical team rounds the corner. The senior figure steps back half a pace. The guard does not. The first medic slows when she sees where Charlotte is sitting. Not on a bench, not against the wall. On the marble floor, legs drawn in, the royal guard kneeling beside her like a fixed object the corridor had been built around. It is wrong enough to register before anyone speaks. "We'll take her now," the medic says, already lowering her kit. The senior figure answers before the guard can. "There's a room prepared. This doesn't need to be public." The word again, public, as if visibility itself were the threat. Charlotte's grip tightens on the guard's sleeve. He feels it through the wool, the small tension of fingers bracing for movement. He does not look down, but he shifts his weight subtly, grounding her without pulling her closer. She stays until assessed, the guard says. Here. The medic hesitates. She is trained to read rooms like this. Her eyes move between the guard, the senior figure, the watching aides. She chooses a neutral compromise and kneels opposite the guard, opening her kit on the floor. Charlotte, the medic says gently, "Can you look at me?" Charlotte doesn't. Her eyes stay fixed on the guard's chest, on the brass buttons aligned perfectly down the red wool. Safe geometry, something solid. "That's fine," the medic says, adjusting. She checks pulse, breathing, skin temperature, everything normal, nothing explaining the collapse. Which makes it worse. "Any pain?" the medic asks. Charlotte shakes her head, then after a pause nods, conflicted, uncertain which answer is allowed. The senior figure exhales sharply. "You see, she's fine." The guard doesn't respond. He is watching the child's hands, the way they twist the edge of his sleeve, then release it, then grip again. A pattern, anxiety cycling. "Who was with you just before this?" the medic asks. Charlotte's mouth opens. No sound comes out. The corridor feels narrower now, as if walls have inched closer. "That's enough," the senior figure says. "We'll continue inside." A hand gestures toward the private room down the hall. Two security officers shift, ready to facilitate movement. The guard stands. It is a simple action, but it changes the balance. He steps half a pace forward, placing himself squarely in the path toward the room, not blocking, redirecting by presence. "She hasn't been cleared," he says, "and she's not calm." "She will be," the senior figure replies, "once this spectacle ends." The guard hears it then, not concern, irritation. Charlotte makes a small sound, almost a whimper, when the private room is mentioned. Her shoulders draw in, protective. "No," she says. "The word is barely there, but it exists." The medic looks up sharply. "Charlotte." The senior figure's voice hardens. "She's overwhelmed. You're encouraging it." The guard feels pressure building. Not loud, not aggressive, but insistent. Authority narrowing options. "Request clarification," he says, turning slightly so his voice carries to the nearest security officer. "Why medical protocol is being overridden?" The words are careful, formal. They create a record in the only place available, other people's memory. "A beat too long." "Escort the child," the senior figure says. "Now." The security officers hesitate, just long enough. Charlotte's fingers dig into the guard's sleeve again, harder this time. Her head presses briefly against his arm, not hiding, anchoring. The guard makes his decision. He lowers his hand and gently pries her fingers free, not to release her, but to take her hand properly. Palm to palm, steady. "She's not going anywhere," he says, voice even. "Not like this." The medic freezes mid-motion. The aides look away. And somewhere behind the senior figure, a quiet instruction is given. Low, controlled, unmistakable. "Remove him." The guard hears it. He does not let go of the child's hand. The instruction does not come with a name. It doesn't need one. Two security officers step forward, not aggressively but with purpose, the trained choreography of people who have been told to make something disappear without creating a scene. Their hands remain low. Their faces neutral, professional compliance. The guard shifts his stance, angling his body so Charlotte is behind him without being pulled. He releases her hand only long enough to place it against the medic's knee. "Stay," he says to the child. One word, firm, calm. Charlotte obeys instantly. That obedience hits harder than resistance would have. "Sir," one of the officers says quietly, "we've been instructed." "I know," the guard replies, not turning. "Stand fast." It is a request framed as an order. It shouldn't work. It does. For a moment, no one moves. The senior figure steps closer, voice low enough to avoid carrying. You are not her guardian. No, the guard agrees. I'm her protection. That is not the same thing. The guard finally looks back, just enough to meet the senior figure's eyes. He sees calculation there, not anger, damage assessment. You're creating a record you won't control, the senior figure says. Think carefully. The medic clears her throat. With respect, she says, choosing each word deliberately, the child is exhibiting acute distress. Removing her from a familiar anchor may escalate symptoms. Anchor. The word lands. The senior figure's jaw tightens. We can manage that. Not clinically, the medic replies. Silence stretches again. Every pause feels like it's being measured by someone unseen. The guard hears a faint electronic tone, a message being sent, not to medical, higher. Charlotte shifts behind him. He hears the soft scuff of her shoe against the marble, the one that stayed behind earlier. She has put it back on, but she hasn't tied it properly. One lace drags loose. Details matter. He stores it away. Disruption leaves traces. Charlotte, the medic says gently, can you tell me who was with you? The child's head lifts. Her eyes flick involuntarily toward the senior figure, then away. Her breathing tightens. The guard feels it immediately. The flinch, the calculation in a child who should not have one. She doesn't have to answer that here, the senior figure says. That's not your call, the medic replies, firmer now. The guard senses the shift. The medic has chosen a side, not emotionally but procedurally, enough to matter. Charlotte swallows. She said not to cry, she whispers, said I was embarrassing. The corridor goes colder. No one speaks. The senior figure's expression does not change, but something behind it locks down. That's not an injury, they say. Children misinterpret tone. The guard feels the familiar pressure again, the reframing. Reduce, normalize, dismiss. It's still harm, the medic says quietly. The senior figure turns sharply. That is not for you to decide. Footsteps approach from the far end of the corridor, faster this time, purposeful. A man in a dark suit appears, no insignia, no visible rank. His presence alone signals escalation. Enough, he says calmly, we're moving this. The guard recognizes him instantly, not command, oversight, the kind that arrives when things have already gone wrong. The man looks at the guard, not unkindly, assessing. You've done your duty, he says, now step aside. The guard does. Not respond immediately, he looks down at Charlotte. She is watching him, waiting. If he steps away now, everything that follows will be out of his control. Private room, controlled narrative, soft disappearance. If he doesn't, the consequences become formal. Visible. The guard straightens. I won't, he says. The man studies him for a long second, then nods once. Then this becomes official. The words settle like a weight. The guard feels it fully now, the point of no return. The escort arrives without insignia. That alone tells the guard what kind of process this will be. Two men step in from opposite ends of the corridor, closing space with quiet efficiency. Not palace security, internal compliance. Their shoes make less sound than they should on marble. Guard, one of them says, voice neutral, you're relieved. The wording is deliberate, relieved, not removed. Language designed to soften the edge of force. The guard does not turn immediately. His eyes stay on Charlotte, now seated on a low medical stool, her legs not quite reaching the floor. The medic keeps a hand near her shoulder without touching. Ready, watching. By whose authority? The guard asks. The man holds up a tablet angled just enough to show a name, a time stamp. Recent, too recent. The guard registers the speed of it, the collapse, the words spoken, the response already formalized. Orders do not arrive this fast unless someone was already waiting. Step back, the second man says, closer now. Charlotte's head snaps up. Her fingers curl into the fabric of her skirt. She does not cry, she stiffens. No, she says, clearer than before. The word lands in the corridor like a dropped object. The medic looks up sharply. Charlotte. No, the child repeats louder. Her eyes lock onto the guard. Don't go. The first man exhales, controlled irritation slipping through. This is inappropriate. The guard finally turns to face them fully. He remains exactly where he is. She's distressed, he says. Removing me escalates risk. You are not qualified to make that determination. No, the guard agrees, but I am qualified to identify it. The second man shifts his weight, a signal, the kind meant to end conversation. The guard hears another sound now. Fabric, movement behind glass, a group gathering just out of sight, observers. Charlotte slides off the stool. The medic reaches out instinctively, but the child moves past her, small steps, unsteady but determined. She stops just behind the guard, her forehead pressing briefly into the back of his arm. The contact is light. It is devastating. The first man's voice drops. If you force this, the consequences will be permanent. The guard understands exactly what is being offered. Step away now, and this becomes a footnote. Resist, and it becomes a record. He looks down slightly, enough to see the top of Charlotte's head. Her hair is damp with sweat near the scalp. Stress response, prolonged. Charlotte, he says quietly, I need you to sit back down. She shakes her head, a sharp, frightened motion. They'll take me. The guard feels something settle in his chest. Not anger, clarity. No, he says, they won't. The medic speaks again, firmer now. Removing her sense of safety right now could cause further harm. That concern has been noted, the first man replies. It doesn't change the directive. The guard steps half a pace to the side, not away from Charlotte but repositioning so she is fully shielded from the men. It is a subtle adjustment, defensive, protective. You're crossing a line, the second man says. Yes, the guard replies, again not defiant, factual. A new voice cuts in, calm, authoritative, female. That will be enough. Everyone turns. A senior official stands at the far end of the corridor, posture perfect, expression unreadable. She does not raise her voice. She does not need to. This situation is being mishandled, she says, and it's becoming visible. Her eyes move to Charlotte, then to the guard. Step away, she tells him, now. Charlotte's hand slides into his, unprompted, tight. The guard does not move. For the first time, the official's expression changes, just slightly. Last warning, she says. The guard inhales slowly. And chooses. The guard does not raise his voice. He does not stiffen his posture or reach for authority he does not have. He simply tightens his grip on Charlotte's hand, just enough for her to feel it, and remains where he is. I'm requesting delay, he says. 10 minutes, medical stabilization. The senior official watches him as if he has spoken in a different language. Delay is not part of the system's vocabulary. You are refusing a direct instruction, she says. Yes. The word echoes more loudly than he expects. It hangs in the corridor, stripped of justification. The two compliance officers shift again. This time they do not hide it. One reaches out, not toward Charlotte but toward the guard's arm. The medic steps forward immediately. Do no. Touch him in front of the child. The officer pauses. The hesitation is brief but it exists. Enough. The senior official exhales through her nose. This is becoming untenable. Charlotte presses closer to the guard's side. Her breathing is shallow again, fast. She is watching every adult face in the room, tracking tone, movement, threat. A child learning patterns she should not need. Charlotte, the official says, softening her voice artificially. "We're just going to help you somewhere quieter." The child shakes her head violently. "She'll be there." The official's gaze sharpens. "Who?" Charlotte clamps her mouth shut. Her hand tightens painfully around the guard's fingers. The guard feels the question ripple through the space. The wrong person, the wrong answer. He shifts his body again, deliberately blocking Charlotte from the official's line of sight. "She's not answering further questions without support," he says. The official's eyes flick briefly to the compliance officers, then back. "You're done here," she says to the guard. "Effective immediately." The guard nods once, then "Relieve me properly." A pause, a calculation. "You'll step away first." "No," he replies, "then I step away." The standoff is quiet but absolute. From somewhere deeper in the palace a bell chimes, a scheduled marker, life continuing indifferent. The official speaks again, slower now. "You're risking your career." The guard considers the statement. The years of routine, of standing still, of being invisible, the oath he took, framed in terms of service, not obedience. "I know," he says. Another figure appears at the edge of the corridor, a man in uniform, higher rank, insignia clear. Command, not oversight. He takes in the scene in seconds. The medic, the child, the guard, the officials. "Report," he says. The senior official begins to speak, but the commander raises a hand without looking at her. "To him," he clarifies. The guard delivers it in 5 sentences. No emotion, no commentary, facts only, collapse, statement, attempted removal, distress. The commander listens without interruption. When the guard finishes, the commander looks at Charlotte, kneels slowly to her level. "Are you hurt?" he asks. She hesitates, then nods. "Did someone hurt you?" Charlotte looks at the guard. He does not speak, he does not nod, he lets the silence exist. "Yes," she whispers. The commander stands. "That's enough," he says. The senior official stiffens. "We need to control." "We need to protect," the commander cuts in. "Immediately." He turns to the guard. "You're staying." Relief does not come. The guard knows better. This is not resolution. It is escalation. And it has just changed who is watching. Camilla's heels register before her voice does. A measured sound, even, unhurried, the kind of confidence that assumes the corridor will clear ahead of it. The guard hears it from behind the commander's shoulder and feels the shift ripple through the room. The aides straighten instinctively. The senior official's posture resets, tension hidden behind polish. Even the compliance officers step back half a pace, as if proximity itself has become dangerous. Charlotte hears it too. Her grip tightens around the guard's hand, not reflexive now. Intentional, she knows the sound. The commander turns first. His expression hardens by a fraction. "She shouldn't be here." "She has authority," the senior official replies quietly, and questions. Camilla steps into view, composed, face arranged into something almost kind. Almost. Her gaze moves across the corridor, cataloging positions, people, dynamics. When it lands on Charlotte, something flickers. Recognition, irritation, calculation. "There you are," Camilla says, tone light. "We've been looking for you." Charlotte recoils. Not dramatically. No cry. Just a sharp pull backward, her body angling away as if avoiding heat. The movement is small, but the guard feels it through her hand like an electric jolt. "That's enough," the commander says. Camilla smiles at him, indulgent. "I'll take her." She steps forward. The guard moves at the same time. It is not a grab, not a shove. He simply pivots, placing his body fully between Camilla and the child, close enough that the red wool of his tunic is inches from Camilla's sleeve. The corridor freezes. "You're out of line," Camilla says softly, eyes lifting to meet his. There is surprise there now, not fear, disbelief. "Ma'am," the guard replies, voice level, "please step back." Silence follows, thick, unignorable. The commander inhales sharply. "Guard." Charlotte's voice cuts through it. "She hurt me." The words are clear this time. No fracture, no hesitation. Camilla's smile disappears. For a fraction of a second, something raw crosses her face before control snaps back into place. "That's a lie," she says immediately, too quickly, too clean. The guard does not look at her. His focus stays forward, stance grounded, hands open but ready, every muscle in his bod. Y is aware of distance, angle, proximity. "You don't get to say that," Charlotte whispers. Her voice shakes, but it exists. "You said not to tell." The senior official steps in fast. Charlotte is distressed. This is being misinterpreted. Camilla lifts a hand sharply. "Enough." She reaches around the guard's shoulder. The guard reacts without thought. His hand comes up, gripping Camilla's wrist firmly, stopping the motion midair. The contact is unmistakable, public, irreversible. A collective intake of breath sweeps the corridor. "You will remove your hand," Camilla says, voice ice cold. The guard does not tighten his grip. He does not loosen it either. "Step back," he repeats. The commander swears under his breath. Camilla's eyes flick down to the guard's hand on her wrist, then back up to his face. "You are finished," she says. "Do you understand me?" The guard feels Charlotte press fully against his back now, her forehead against his spine, hiding. He can feel her shaking. "Yes," he says. Camilla pulls hard, trying to break free. The guard adjusts his grip, not violent but decisive, and guides her backward a step. Not dragging, redirecting, controlling space. It is the most dangerous action he has taken yet. Cameras will exist for this, memories too sharp to blur. Camilla stumbles half a step, recovers, fury flashing openly now. "You'll regret this," she hisses. The guard meets her eyes for the first time. "So will you," he says quietly. The commander raises his voice. "Clear the corridor now." Security moves at last, not toward the guard but around Camilla, forming a barrier guiding her back. The guard does not release her wrist until she is out of reach of the child. When he does, the silence left behind is absolute. Charlotte exhales, a broken sound she has been holding in for too long. The guard remains exactly where he is. He knows what he has done. And he knows there is no version of this where he walks away untouched. The corridor empties fast once the order is given. Not hurried, controlled. Aides retreat into side passages. Compliance officers reposition farther down the hall, pretending to manage space while actually managing optics. The senior official remains, her face set into something neutral enough to pass for calm. Camilla is guided back several steps, her arm released, her posture restored. The fury drains from her expression and is replaced with something colder, strategic. "This is unacceptable," she says, smoothing her sleeve where the guard's hand had been. "I expect a full account." "You'll get one," the commander replies. "Later." Camilla's eyes flick to Charlotte one last time. The child is still pressed against the guard's back, both hands gripping the fabric of his tunic now, no attempt to hide it, a visible refusal to be separated. Camilla turns away. Her heels move down the corridor again, faster this time. The sound fades, but the tension does not leave with her. The commander releases a long breath and looks at the guard. "You crossed more than one line." "Yes, sir." The commander studies him. "You restrained a senior royal." "Yes, sir." "And you did it in front of witnesses." "Yes, sir." The commander nods slowly, as if confirming a list. "All right." He turns to the senior official. "I want medical isolation, no private rooms, observation suite only, full transparency." "That's unnecessary," she begins. "That's an order," he cuts in. Her jaw tightens. This will trigger consequences. It already has. The medic steps forward again, relief barely hidden. I'll escort her. Charlotte does not move. The guard feels her hesitation immediately. Her fingers tighten, then loosen, then tighten again. The pattern repeats. Charlotte, the medic says gently, we need to check you somewhere safe. Charlotte tilts her head, looking up at the guard without lifting her body from his back. Her voice is quiet but firm. You stay. The commander watches this exchange closely. He sees the same thing the guard does. Separation now would undo everything holding her together. Fine, the commander says. He stays. The senior official's eyes flash. Sir. I said fine. The decision lands heavily. It is not generosity. It is containment through visibility. The guard shifts slightly, allowing Charlotte to step around him rather than detach. She keeps one hand on his sleeve as they move, like a tether. They walk together down the corridor, flanked by medical staff and security, no rush allowed. Every step feels watched, recorded, judged. Inside the observation suite, the air is cooler, filtered. Glass walls on two sides. No hiding places. No corners. It is the opposite of privacy. Charlotte sits on the bed, feet dangling again. She releases the guard's sleeve only when the medic begins her checks. Even then, her eyes flick back to him repeatedly, confirming his presence. The guard stands at the foot of the bed, hands clasped behind his back, posture immaculate. The only sign of strain is the tightness in his jaw. Outside the glass, the senior official speaks quietly into a device. The commander listens, then responds with short, clipped phrases. The guard knows what is happening, timelines being built, language being softened, risk being redistributed. Charlotte's voice breaks the quiet. She told me not to cry, she says suddenly, staring at the ceiling. Said I was making trouble. The medic pauses, pen hovering. Who did? Charlotte swallows. Her eyes slide to the glass wall, to the silhouettes beyond it. The guard steps closer, just one pace, not into her space, into her line of sight. You can stop, he says softly, anytime. Charlotte nods, grateful for permission more than comfort. The medic resumes her checks. Beyond the glass, the commander meets the guard's eyes. There is no approval there. Only understanding. And warning. Because what happens next will not be decided in corridors. It will be decided in rooms without children. The room with the glass walls does not quiet anything. It only slows it. Charlotte lies back against the pillows as instructed, eyes open, blinking too often. The medic moves with methodical care, checking vitals, documenting responses, asking questions that are deliberately neutral. No leading, no names. Yet every answer Charlotte gives bends slightly around an absence, something she is not saying. The guard remains standing, still, visible, exactly where the commander told him to be. Outside the glass, movement accelerates. Phones appear. Devices are checked and put away. A man in a dark suit arrives and leaves without entering. Another pauses, watches Charlotte through the glass, then turns away. The guard tracks each figure by reflection rather than turning his head. Peripheral awareness. Habit. The senior official re-enters the frame. Her expression reset again. Controlled concern now, carefully calibrated. This has gone far enough, she says quietly to the commander. We need to stabilize the narrative before this spreads. The guard hears the word without hearing the rest. Narrative, not care, not safety. The commander's reply is measured. We stabilize the child. And we can do both, she counters, but not with him in the room. The guard feels the pressure before it's applied. He has become the variable, the risk that cannot be controlled because it acted without permission. The commander turns his head slightly, not enough to look at him directly. Guard, he says, step outside. The instruction is softer than the ones before, more dangerous because of it. Charlotte hears it. Her body tenses immediately, shoulders drawing inward. She turns her head toward the guard, eyes wide with a question she doesn't ask. The guard does not move yet. He waits for the commander to finish speaking. Just outside, the commander adds, "You'll still be visible." The guard considers the distance, the glass, the line of sight, the fact that visibility can be ended with a single person stepping into the wrong place. He lowers his gaze to Charlotte. "I'll be right there," he says. She nods, but the nod is uncertain. He steps out. The door seals with a soft sound behind him, too soft. Outside, the air feels thinner, less controlled. The senior official turns toward him immediately. "You've complicated this," she says. "No accusation, assessment." "Yes, ma'am." "You put hands on a senior royal." "Yes, ma'am." "You allowed a child to make an unverified statement in a public corridor." The guard does not correct her framing. He knows better. "That child," she continues, "will forget this if handled properly." The guard meets her eyes. She already remembers. The senior official's expression tightens. Memory is malleable. Fear is. Silence stretches. The commander watches both of them now. "You're done for today," the senior official says to the guard. "Stand down. We'll assign another detail." The guard looks past her through the glass at Charlotte. She is sitting up again, watching the door intently, counting seconds. "Request denied," he says. The senior official turns sharply to the commander. "Sir, he is no longer objective." The commander considers the guard for a long moment, then speaks. "He's not objective," he agrees. "He's anchored." The senior official's lips press into a thin line. "Then he's a liability." The commander nods once. "Then we contain the liability." He turns to the guard. "You're restricted, observation only, no interaction unless authorized." The guard absorbs the words. Restriction is the cleanest way to neutralize without removal. "Yes, sir," he replies. Inside the room, Charlotte slides off the bed again, small hands pressed to the glass now. Her eyes meet his through the barrier. She does not cry. She waits. And the guard understands the next phase has begun. Not confrontation. Containment. Charlotte's palm leaves a faint print on the glass before the medic gently guides her back to the bed. The guard notes the mark automatically. Oils. From skin, a child's height, a detail that will be wiped away soon enough. The senior official turns slightly, shielding her mouth from the glass as she speaks again. "We need to address cause," she says, "before it becomes narrative drift." The commander folds his arms. "Cause is under review." "That's not fast enough." She gestures subtly down the corridor. "There are already questions. Why medical wasn't called immediately? Why security intervened? Why a guard made physical contact?" The guard remains silent. He understands the sequence she's building. Each why stacking until the simplest answer becomes the most damaging. "You'll give a statement," she says to him, "now while it's clean." "Request counsel," the guard replies. Her eyes flicker, the smallest tell. "That won't be necessary." "It will," he says. The commander inclines his head. Approved. The senior official exhales sharply, displeasure briefly visible. "Fine, but understand this, your account will not protect you." "I know." "It may protect others," she says, "if you cooperate." The guard hears the offer for what it is. Redirect blame downward, shield upward. Inside the observation room, Charlotte lies very still now, staring at the ceiling. The medic finishes her checks and steps away, speaking quietly to another staff member who enters with a tablet. Notes being finalized, language being selected. The guard notices Charlotte's breathing change again, shallower, faster. He steps closer to the glass instinctively, then stops. Restriction, observation only. Charlotte turns her head slightly. She can see him from where she is. Her lips move, forming words he cannot hear. The senior official notices the exchange. "This attachment is unhealthy," she says. "It's temporary," the guard replies. "What caused it is." She looks at him carefully now. "You're making assumptions." "I'm observing outcomes." A man in a tailored suit approaches, tablet in hand. "Legal, not introduced." "We'll need your written account," he says to the guard. "Focus on actions, not interpretations." The guard nods. "Understood." "And be mindful of phrasing," the man adds. "Words like hurt and fear carry implications." "They carry facts," the guard replies. The man does not respond. The commander watches the exchange, then steps in. "I want a second medical opinion." "That's excessive," the senior official says. "That's prudent." She holds his gaze, then nods once. "Fine." The decision ripples outward. More people, more visibility, less control. Charlotte sits up suddenly, drawing attention. She swings her legs off the bed again and stands, small hands clenched at her sides. "I don't want her here," she says. Her voice is stronger now, anger threading through fear. "Who?" the medic asks gently. Charlotte points toward the corridor, toward where Camilla exited earlier. The senior official stiffens. "She's not here." "She will be," Charlotte says. "She always comes back." The certainty in the child's voice unsettles the room more than tears would have. The guard feels it land heavily. Pattern recognition, repetition, not a single moment but a sequence. The legal man closes his tablet slowly. "We should suspend questioning." The senior official looks at the commander. "This is spiraling." "It already has," he replies. The guard watches Charlotte carefully. She is no longer shaking. Her fear has sharpened into something else. Expectation. She looks at the glass again, at him. And the guard understands the most dangerous shift of all has occurred. She expects him to stay. Not just now. Through whatever comes next. The request arrives without ceremony. A folded instruction passed from one hand to another. No raised voices. No urgency that might suggest alarm. Just quiet inevitability. The guard reads it once, then again. Child to be spoken with, limited presence, no recording. He looks up. The commander is already watching him. "They want to talk to her," the guard says. "Yes. Without me." The commander doesn't answer immediately. He glances through the glass at Charlotte, now seated cross-legged on the bed, hands folded tightly in her lap. She is still. Too still. The calm of someone bracing. "They'll say it's to reduce influence," the commander says finally. "And it is," the guard replies, "just not the kind they'll admit." The senior official steps closer, voice lowered. "This is standard safeguarding procedure." "It's selective safeguarding," the guard says. Her expression cools, careful. The medic re-enters the observation room with another woman the guard hasn't seen before. No uniform, no visible credentials, calm face, soft posture, the kind designed to disarm. Charlotte looks up immediately. "Who's that?" she asks. "A friend," the woman says gently. "I just want to talk." Charlotte's eyes flick to the glass, to the guard. "No," she says. The word is immediate, stronger than before. The woman pauses, recalibrating. "I promise it's nothing bad." Charlotte shakes. As her head, she says that too. The room tightens. The senior official's jaw sets. "We can't let a child dictate process." The guard feels the pressure shift toward him again. He has become the reason the process cannot proceed cleanly. The commander turns to him. "If you stay, they'll delay. If you leave, they'll proceed." "And if I refuse both?" The commander exhales. "Then this becomes insubordination, not protection." The guard looks at Charlotte through the glass. She has stood again, small hands pressed flat against it, exactly where her palm print was before. The mark has been cleaned, but the habit remains. "You'll be right there?" she asks quietly. The guard steps closer to the glass, stopping just short. "I'll be where you can see me." She considers this, then nods, a decision made under pressure. The door opens. The guard steps back into the corridor, placing himself directly outside the observation room. The glass is clear, unobstructed, every movement inside visible. The woman enters the room alone. The door closes. Inside, Charlotte does not sit. She stands, shoulders squared, chin lifted just enough to be defiant. The woman lowers herself to the child's height, careful not to invade space. "I want to hear what happened," she says. Charlotte doesn't answer. Sometimes talking helps. Charlotte glances at the glass again. The guard remains still, present. "She said I was bad," Charlotte says suddenly. "Said I make people tired." The woman nods, encouraging. "Who said that?" Charlotte hesitates. Her eyes drop to the floor. The lace on her shoe is still untied. "She said not to tell," Charlotte whispers. Outside, the guard feels the weight of every adult listening through walls, devices, expectation. "You won't get in trouble," the woman says. Charlotte's head snaps up. That's what she said too. The woman freezes. Silence stretches inside the room. Charlotte takes a breath, a deep one, the kind a child only takes when deciding something costly. "She grabbed me," Charlotte says. "Not hard, just like this." She reaches out, fingers closing around her own wrist, demonstrating pressure. Control without bruises. The guard's jaw tightens. Outside the glass, the senior official stiffens visibly. The woman inside the room does not interrupt. "She said I was dramatic," Charlotte continues, "and that nobody likes girls who cry." The words land with a dull finality. The guard remains motionless. He knows this moment will be disputed, reframed, softened. Because no one was supposed to hear it like this. And yet everyone is. No one moves when Charlotte finishes speaking. Inside the observation room, the woman's posture remains neutral, but her hands, carefully folded moments ago, have tightened together. She does not rush to respond. That restraint matters. "Thank you for telling me," she says finally. "That wasn't easy." Charlotte shrugs, but the movement is stiff, defensive. "She said it was my fault." Outside the glass, the senior official turns sharply toward the commander. This is exactly why uncontrolled statements are dangerous. The commander doesn't look at her. His eyes are fixed on the child. The woman inside the room nods slowly. "Why did she say that?" Charlotte's mouth opens, closes. She glances toward the glass again, checking. The guard does not move. He does not signal. He lets the choice remain hers. "Because I wouldn't stop crying," Charlotte says. "And because I told Daddy once." The room absorbs that. Outside, a quiet instruction is murmured into a device. Not to stop this, to prepare for it. The woman inside keeps her voice level. "What happened when you told him?" Charlotte frowns, thinking. "He said he'd talk to her." A pause. "She was nice after that for a while." Pattern confirmed. The guard feels the pressure increase, not on him this time, but around him. Systems recalculating in real time. The woman inside the room stands slowly. "I'm going to step out now," she says gently. "You did very well." Charlotte nods once, exhausted. She sits back on the bed, pulling her knees in. The door opens. The woman exits without looking at anyone except the commander. She gives a single, small nod. Confirmation without commentary. The senior official moves immediately. "This cannot stand as recorded." "It already does," the woman replies calmly. "I will not amend it." "You were instructed." "I was instructed to assess," she interrupts. "I assessed." The commander steps forward. "This statement is sealed," he says. "Restricted access." The senior official's eyes flash. "That won't stop escalation." No, the commander agrees, but it stops erasure. Charlotte watches the exchange from the bed, eyes tracking movement through the glass. She looks smaller now, spent. The guard steps forward instinctively, then stops himself, restrictions still in place. The commander notices. You can go in, he says quietly, 1 minute. The guard enters the room. Charlotte looks up immediately. Relief flickers across her face before she reins it in, as if afraid it might be taken away. You stayed, she says. Yes. She nods satisfied. I told. I know. She hesitates, then asks the question she's been holding back. Am I in trouble? The guard crouches just enough to meet her eye level. He keeps his hands visible, non-threatening, certain. No, he says. You did exactly what you were supposed to. She studies his face, searching for cracks, finds none. Outside the room, the senior official speaks again, low and urgent. He can't remain on this detail. I know, the commander replies. The guard hears it. He expected it. Charlotte lies back against the pillows, finally letting her eyes close. Her breathing steadies, slow and even. The medic adjusts the blanket, careful not to wake her. The guard straightens and steps back toward the door. As he leaves the room, the commander meets his gaze. You understand what comes next, the commander says. Yes, sir. You'll be removed, he continues, formally. Yes, sir. And this won't end cleanly. The guard nods once. It rarely does. Behind the glass, Charlotte sleeps. Outside it, the system begins to close ranks. And the guard knows Chapter 7 will not be about protection, but consequence. The notice is delivered in person. No envelope, no pretense of discretion. The commander stands in the corridor outside the observation suite, posture rigid, expression carefully neutral. 2 officers flank him, positioned not to restrain but to witness. You're suspended from active duty, the commander says, effective immediately. The guard listens without reaction. He has already run this scenario through his head enough times to recognize the shape of it. Pending review, the commander continues. You will surrender access clearance and remain available for questioning. Yes, sir. The senior official stands a few steps back, watching closely. She does not speak. She does not need to. This is the outcome she has been steering toward since the corridor. The guard removes his access card and places it in the commander's open hand. The sound it makes, plastic against glove, is louder than it should be. You'll be escorted out, the commander says, through the service corridor. Away from glass, away from sight. The guard nods once. He does not argue. Resistance now would change nothing except how the story is told later. As they turn, he catches one last glimpse through the observation window. Charlotte is awake again. She sits upright on the bed, blanket pulled around her waist, eyes fixed on the door. She sees him immediately. Her expression shifts, not fear this time, but something steadier, understanding. The guard stops. The escorting officer hesitates, then looks to the commander. The commander meets the guard's eyes and gives the slightest nod. The guard turns fully toward the glass. He does not wave. He does not smile. He simply places his hand flat against his chest, formal, restrained, unmistakable. Charlotte mirrors him. Her small hand rises and presses to her own chest in the same place. It is enough. The escort resumes. The service corridor is narrower, dimmer. The air smells faintly of polish and machinery. The palace stripped of ceremony. This is where systems move without being seen. You understand you're not accused of wrongdoing, one officer says, perhaps trying to be kind. Yes, the guard replies. But your actions complicate matters. Yes. They walk in silence after that. At the end of the corridor, a door opens into a small administrative room. No windows, a table, 2 chairs, a device waiting on the surface. Sit, the officer says. The guard sits. Time stretches, not measured in minutes now, but in decisions being made elsewhere. He thinks of Charlotte's words, not how she said them, but when, the precision, the restraint, a child who has learned that timing is safety. The door opens again. Not the commander this time. A man enters in a dark suit, older face practiced in neutrality. He closes the door carefully behind him. Guard, the man says, taking the opposite seat. I'm here to help you understand the situation. The guard meets his gaze. I understand it. The man smiles faintly. You think you do. He activates the device on the table. A red light appears, recording. You'll answer a few questions, the man continues, about your conduct, about your motivations. The guard folds his hands on the table, calm, controlled. Before we begin, the man adds, you should know that continued cooperation may influence where responsibility ultimately settles. The implication hangs in the air. Settle. Redirect. Contain. The guard exhales slowly. Outside this room, narratives are already being shaped, lines softened, roles reassigned. Inside it, the guard understands something with absolute clarity. He is no longer being asked what happened. He is being asked how much of it he is willing to carry. The red light remains steady. The man waits. He is PR. Actist at it, silence as leverage, patience as pressure. Let's start simply, he says. Why did you touch her? The guard does not answer immediately. He considers the phrasing, the assumption embedded in it. He adjusts his response accordingly. She was reaching for the child, he says. I intervened. That's your interpretation. It's my observation. The man nods as if conceding a point that does not matter. You understand the sensitivity surrounding senior members of the household. Yes. And yet you chose physical interference. Yes. The man leans back slightly. That choice places the institution at risk. The guard keeps his gaze steady. The institution placed the child at risk first. The man smiles again, smaller this time, tighter. That's not how this will be framed. No, the guard agrees, it is. The man taps the table once lightly. You're not accused of malice or incompetence, but you did exceed your remit. Yes. And you encouraged dependency. The guard's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. I provided stability during distress. The man watches him carefully. Children misplace trust. They place it where it's earned. A pause. The man turns the device slightly, as if adjusting nothing. Let's talk about alternatives. You could say you misjudged the situation, that heightened emotions influenced your actions. That would be inaccurate. It would be useful. The guard exhales slowly through his nose. To whom? The man doesn't answer right away. When he does, his voice is calm. To everyone who wants this to end. The guard thinks of Charlotte's hand against her chest, the mirror of a gesture meant to say, I see you, not dependency, recognition. I won't say that, he replies. The man studies him for a long moment, then nods once. Then you understand the outcome. Yes. You will be reassigned, quietly. Your record will show procedural deviation under review. Yes. And the child? The guard looks up sharply. What about her? She will receive care, the man says smoothly, discreetly, internally. This will not escalate further if you don't force it to. The offer sits between them, not protection, containment. You're asking me to disappear, the guard says. I'm asking you to let this be handled. The guard's voice remains level. It is being handled, just not how you prefer. The man sighs, a calculated display of disappointment. He reaches forward and stops the recording. The red light goes dark. This conversation never happened, he says, and neither did the corridor. He stands, straightening his jacket. You'll be escorted out within the hour. The guard remains seated. Before you go, the man adds, pausing at the door, you should know the child will not see you again. The words are delivered carefully, as consequence, as deterrent. The guard absorbs them. He does not react outwardly. I know, he says. The man leaves. The door closes. The room feels larger without him, quieter. The guard sits alone, hands folded, breathing slow and controlled. He thinks of nothing abstract, no ideals, no legacy. He thinks of sequence. The collapse, the silence, the wrong shoe, the reach, the words she hurt me spoken when they were least convenient. Somewhere above him, behind glass and controlled lighting, Charlotte will wake again. She will be told stories designed to smooth edges, to rename fear, to shrink memory. But one thing will remain unchanged. When the system failed to move, one person did. That fact exists now. It cannot be unseen. The door opens once more. The escort returns. Time, the officer says. The guard stands. He steps forward without resistance. And as he is led away, out of service corridors and into absence, the palace returns to order, quiet, polished, intact. But pressure leaves marks. And somewhere inside that order, a child knows the difference between silence and protection.